Hello, my name's Harry. I work for a company called Neon Tribe. We're web developers here in Norwich. I've got an antivirus program. That's got to be reassuring. I'll be speaking about developing Facebook apps. I've promised to keep this as completely untechnical. If I use any acronyms or jargon, I will give a shiny pound to charity for each acronym I use. The word HTML is now a word in the English language. That no longer counts as an acronym. That isn't technical. Developing Facebook apps, I'm not going to get technical at all, as I say. I'm just going to talk a bit about what sort of apps are out there, what people might do with them, and a little bit right at the end about how designers could engage with their customers' clients over Facebook without any programming at all. So, I wish I had a remote control. It'd be really useful, but I haven't. All I've got is slide one. Here's me on Bebo. This was 2 years ago when I first gave this presentation, when it was still all right to talk about, well, Bebo, before it died at the hands of Facebook. Here are my apps on Bebo. This is when apps were part of your personal presentation. You see, that was then. Now, everyone's social network first point of contact is on Facebook. I use the word everyone. I'm generalizing grossly, of course. Most people's social network, social media space is Facebook. And they are, damn it, that was a really good gag and I blew it. They are the gorilla. And they have an app platform, and their app platform has been the cornerstone of their success. Right back in the early days when they first opened their platform out and you had zombies and pirates poking you every time you logged onto Facebook, up till now when you have a bewildering variety of apps on your profile. Because apps can do anything we can fit in that box there. That's the canvas page. That's where we construct, where we develop, where we build these experiences on Facebook. And that, of course, is their advertising that monetizes that space. And this is where apps surface. This is where they spread through your stream. It does get a little bit more involved later. At the moment, this feels like, you know, grandma's eggs and all that sort of thing. People have profiles on Facebook. This is my profile. There are some reassuring pictures of me. There are some pictures of me hitting people with Yes, thank you. These are my 521 friends. In a digression, by the way, I have a rule of thumb for Facebook. Hey? Do you want a clicker? Would it work on this? Yeah. Have you been changing my slides while I haven't been looking? Because that would be cool. No. Oh man, that would be ace. If we could have my technical resource, then this, of course, is an app. Heavens. Oh. How does this work? There's a little USB. Wow. This is brilliant. It's like the future is here, just not particularly evenly distributed. Found new hardware. So this is me, this is my profile, this is me doing medieval reenactment, these are my 521 friends, this is my wife, she is not a witch, she's a costume maker for the Madam Market, and that's a witch's hat she's making for them. I have a rule about friends, by the way, in a digression. I like digressions, because they mean I have to concentrate less on the meat of the presentation. My rule is, if I have met you, and if I saw you in a pub, if I would go up and join you for a drink, then you can be on my friends list. Don't know what that quite says about me. I have 521 people who I join for a drink. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Wow, fabulous. So this is the app canvas of the app that there was a message of. So, oh, this is great. So here is an app message from Enigmatic. Enigmatic is an app we knocked up for Bletchley Park last weekend. They had a sort of hack day thing, and one of us had an afternoon free, so we took an open source, publicly available Enigma machine simulator, and we wrapped it up so it could speak through Facebook and through Twitter. So this isn't our work, but this bit down here and that button, they are our work. And this just illustrates one of the things you can do on Facebook. So you can sort of put a whole Enigma machine. There's no need to have the whole architecture of the Second World War German war machine behind you. You can simulate it and put it in Facebook these days. And this is what profile messages lead to apps, and apps is where the interaction happens. So why do people use apps? You're a people profiles. Why do people use apps? Small print. Other companies do make apps. So this is an app that we made. This was a thing for the Ministry of Justice. This is an example of app for fun. This app perhaps not quite so much fun as some others. This was an app to compare your perception of crime in your locality with the reality as published by the Ministry of Justice. So you put your postcode in, answered a quiz, and it told you that things were either much better or much worse. And that was a bit of communications work we did for the Ministry of Justice. Social capital. This is an example of social capital by sharing books. So you build a collection of books, and it works like a cover flow. This would work better if I was on my screen, of course. The books whiz from side to side. You can share books. I can say that I like Stardust because it's a fantasy with a living star and witches. There's a secret world. There's ghosts, and that little street with the cobbles appeared in the film. And the Britain's Arms was a pub in the film that you never mind. So this is social capital by sharing books. Fun, social capital, information. This is an app we did for a project funded by the Department of Children, Schools and Families, as it was then, now the DFE. This was about young people measuring how bored they were using this sort of handy boredom measuring device here. And then they could shout out to their friends for help with boredom. So that was a combination of information finding and social capital. Also, just purely game experience. This is Farmville. Farmville, the biggest game on Facebook for some time. Sadly, never mind. And this is why you might use profile apps like that for engagements. This is why a brand might deliver a profile app, because they are reportable and orbital. You get a metric ton of stats on what your app is doing and who is engaging, and what sorts of people are, not who, but what sorts of people are engaging with it, which is all good stuff for reporting your brand engagement. It's scalable, arguably it's scalable in that the same app can be used by many thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people. It could be deeper and richer than just using wall posts. And very arguably, there is the prospect for organic growth of your engagement with your customers if you're good. That isn't quite so strong as it used to be. That used to be a real big selling point, explosive growth in app users. Nowadays, because the Zingers and the other big social gaming people of this world have such enormous advertising budgets and such enormous development teams who spend their entire time micro-analysing the stats you get out of the Facebook app platform, much harder to get really big organic growth as a company. Organisations, however, have a slightly different presence on Facebook. So a person has a profile, people might be in a group, organisations have pages. I think this is where the real opportunity is for designers, developers nowadays. So this is an example of a Facebook page. Does anyone watch Skins? No one watches Skins. That's outrageous. Skins is never mind. So Skins is aimed at teenagers. Maybe that I watch Skins. And this is their wall. And this is, hey, that's a page. Why might they use an app on their page? That's better. This is the way they might use an app. So rather than, this is an app which allows people to follow Skins characters on Twitter, which feeds all the Skins characters' twitterings into a block down here, which shows some highlights, and if I could scroll down, I'd show you the rest of what that app shows. The point is that compared to that wall, which is a great way, by the way, for injecting content into other people's streams, but rather than just having that wall when you arrive at the Skins page, having this app means you have a deeper, richer, possibility for a deeper, richer engagement as the brand with your audiences on Facebook. You can incent engagement using an app. This is a model which was quite common about a year ago and will, I suspect, slowly decrease in use as people get a bit pissed off with it. But it's just one technique for incenting engagement. Just a blunt call to action saying press that button up there, because once they have pressed the like button, then until they unlike you have them and you can broadcast into their stream at whim. Gain access to content exclusively available to fans. That's not actually strictly true yet, but it will be when they develop the next version of the app. We did that one too. Examples of apps. So organisations, pages, opportunity. The opportunity is to use apps like, so this is an app, this is called Notes. This is an app which allows you to import a feed, a news feed from another web property you might have and just drop it into your Facebook pages wall. So it makes it a little bit easier to manage that broadcasting process, because rather than make those wall posts yourself, you can use your blog or your news stream from your website, and it'll feed automatically into your pages stream. So that's quite useful, just decreasing that cost of ownership of a page communication method. This is a lovely app for managing multiple feeds. My mouth is dry as a dry thing. Is there any water anywhere? I've drunk it all, haven't I? So this is a great app. If you have more than one blog you want to sort of coalesce together in one stream, RSS graffiti, and all these are fairly readily installable on your page, and in a revolutionary 6-stage demo I will show you how to do that shortly. Poll Daddy, this is a sort of low rent poll solution if you want to ask people who visit your page questions. Probably going to slowly fade away as people either create more interesting polling applications with sort of more interactivity, as the alternative low rent solution becomes a Facebook questions app, which Facebook themselves have deployed, and as they are the aforementioned £800 gorilla, people who do very, very simple poll apps like this, not going to be so good anymore unless they get much more interactive. Next, this is the sort of one I'd like to concentrate on really, and then we'll now slow down my pace of communication hopefully, so you might have some chance of sort of following what I'm going on about, because this is an app called Static HTML, which allows anyone, doesn't have to be a developer, which allows anyone who knows HTML and anyone who can upload images somewhere to start to deliver some more interesting landing pages on their Facebook page. You install this app onto your page, and I'll show you how to do that after this slide, which I had forgotten about. So my key takeaways for this presentation are the following two things. Apps sit on social network profiles, could be useful in engagement, just try quite hard. Apps that sit on Facebook pages, useful extra functions. So if you only have two things in your mind after this presentation, thank you very much indeed. You're brilliant. If you only have two things after this presentation, then three things: fish and chips, Facebook apps on pages and apps on profiles should be in your mind. I hope if I've done my job. Thank you very much. Turning to that PS that I was expecting to come up a couple of slides earlier, this is how you install that static HTML app onto your page. So you remember we had the Paul Smith page with that image on it, not the wall, not the stream of stuff, but the image. This is how you might do that. I've set up this page called Using Facebook Pages, which is available on Facebook. You can go and see if you want. I set up the Notes application, so it took my blog into it. And then I went and found this static HTML app page. I'm going to put this, I mean, there's videos about how to do this on YouTube, obviously. I'm going to stick this presentation up on SlideShare, but fundamentally, you go to the app page, static HTML iframe tabs. You find it by searching for it on Facebook. You go to the app itself. You add it to your page. So you, and when you're there, you click on the little bit that said welcome, and then you get to the actual app itself, which enables you to dump HTML, arbitrary HTML, into this or that box, and enables you to set up a couple of rules. Fans see this box, non-fans, other way around. Non-fans see this box, fans see this box. That's quite useful. Different experience for fans and non-fans, that's quite nice. Just enter your content there, and save it, click the save button, and then view your tab as a fan, and if you use something really simple, you get that. Not in and of itself, I admit, particularly impressive, but that's what you get if you write pointy bracket H1, close pointy bracket, hello world, pointy bracket /H1, close pointy bracket in there. And that's £1 charity, obviously. Entering arbitrary HTML in there, you save it, and you get that hello world. Not particularly inspiring, I admit, but you could also add any other HTML you know. You can add image references in there. You can't do forms, but you can do most of the things that enable you to make an HTML page with some pretty rich calls to action. Like this one, which is a photograph of me as a pirate, which I hooked off Flickr, and I just dropped the Flickr embed tag into that box, and that is what you see if you arrive at my Using Facebook Pages page at the moment. You can imagine replacing this image on your own page for something more useful. But that was just an image I happen to have around, which I use all over the place whenever I want a bit of dummy testing stuff. And that was it, really. That was a bit fast, maybe. I'm sorry about that. But I got a bit carried away because I'm very keen on Facebook pages. And this is brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Any questions? Did anyone retain any of that? Sorry, do you want that again but slower? Thank you.
So what
there's two over there. There. Yes, sir.
Yeah. What's your view, Harry, on this growth of these companies like Tiger Lily and Page Magic, which are delivering that kind of landing page thing for often for a kind of free for small business, but with a bit of their branding in it, and then some kind of monthly things if you want a bit more. Have you got any experience of that, and what do you think?
I haven't got any direct experience of using them because we wouldn't, but I think you really want to maintain control of your brand, and you don't really want anyone else messing with that on Facebook. So, I mean, the app I chose to show you, I mean, until recently, I was using Facebook's own FBML app, which allowed you to do pretty much the same sort of thing, but it was their app, and I felt very comfortable using that. Just recently, they deprecated that app, and so I looked around for another one that gave me the same sort of experience, because I don't want anyone messing with the brand on that page. I mean, you're right, it's a very inexpensive, and you need no technical ability at all to use it, but I'd rather have control over that, so I can do that sort of. Anyway, there was another question?
Yeah, this is great for Facebook.
Yep.
Do you think it carries on over to things like Twitter and LinkedIn or not?
You mean using apps as engagement methods?
Yeah, or what the equivalent might be.
Well, so Twitter apps, I myself find that my mode of operation with Twitter is more engaging with particular other people. It's more business-like for me, and so I find apps that dive into my Twitter stream quite intrusive. So whereas I'm used to that experience on Facebook and I expect it on Facebook, on Twitter it normally just irritates me, and it has to be an app that I find really compelling to sort of get over the fact that it's spamming my Twitter feed. There are some apps that are more polite than others. I mean, I for a while played a game called Fallen London, which was very polite which is a marvellous experience, and just uses Twitter as an authentication method, really. It's the game is played totally outside the Twitter stream. I wish I'd done more research into apps that play out within Twitter. I mean, the enigmatic machine, if I had a screen cap of it working in Twitter, I could show you, but it encrypts. It's quite a long presentation, this, isn't it? Yeah. It encrypts on Twitter as well, and it works the same sort of way on Twitter. Encrypted message turns up, click the link, decrypt. So I've just contradicted myself. Never mind. Next question. Was that an answer? Sorry, was that an answer at all? Yeah, thank you. Was it a good answer? No.
So other things, so the way you showed us about customizing your own page.
Yeah.
So what's the extent of those? So you said forms, no. Video?
In that particular application, forms, no. Yeah. If you go the whole hog and open a developer account on Facebook and become a developer yourself, or engage one, or engage a development company yourself, you can then do pretty much anything. As I previously, whenever I had that rather glib, anything we can fit in there. If you're developing a custom application, it's anything you can fit in there. It's only that static HTML iframes tab app that has those specific restrictions. And I use that as an example because it's a very easy way to get quite a lot of the goodness you get through developing an app on Facebook without having to do any of that developing stuff.
And does the app that you can build, can that spin off any? So the data you would get from a page anyway.
Yep.
Can it spin off additional data points?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we on the server where apps that we build live, we can build analytics into that. So you can have not only the Facebook. There's some Facebook app analytics as well, which talk about demographics and I can't remember the other things they talk about. But you can get some analytics from Facebook, and you can get more by developing an app that sits off Facebook, that exposes itself through Facebook, and using the normal web analytics packages through there. Yes.
Just on that, you mentioned video.
Yep.
You mentioned you
Probably. Yeah, I reckon into that particular app. Yeah, probably you could. You just grab the embed code from YouTube. I'll try that in the bar afterwards just to check it works. But I think I can't see any reason why not. I can't remember seeing it in the docs that you couldn't.
Question was just about mobile integration.
Yeah.
So if you've got an app, I guess it needs to be tailored or suitable for either for a mobile app on a mobile phone, like an iPhone or something, or actually suitable for rendering the content on an iPad or a tablet.
That's a very, very good question. When we developed wherever it is, when we developed Bookstash, which is the sharey booky thing, it's in here somewhere. You remember the one? It had all the pretty colours, and I'll just blather. Oh, that one. When we developed that, we tested it on Android and iPhone, and on Android it was reasonably well behaved. On iPhone, the Flash didn't render, obviously, and it fell back to our JavaScript alternative. So yes, you do have to do testing, but that seemed to work okay through a browser, through a mobile device. We didn't test it through the Facebook app itself on mobile. Probably should have done. Sometimes would be the easy answer to your question.
Do apps render in the Facebook app on them?
That's a very good question. I'm not sure they do, actually, thinking about it. You get notification messages from them?
So would you have to do a wall post? Would you recommend doing wall posts as well as doing app or not?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because that's how you spread it anyway.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, actually, and I am largely just making this up, when you get a notification from an app, the link would go out to the browser on your mobile device. I'll test it in the bar. That's 2 references to bar in the last 2 minutes. It means something. It means I'm standing between you and networking and stuff. That's probably enough, I think.
At what point would you go from using an external app like Static HTML to actually doing development?
When there's in the case of static HTML specifically, when you want to do forms, and you will often want to do forms because that's the base technology for getting an instant reaction from your customer. So really, it depends what sort of interaction you want. The other point of the static HTML app is that if you're developing a full-blown app, then you get to know much more about the person who you're engaging with, and you can.
They then obviously have to, I assume, give you access.
Yeah, sure. They have to authorise your app to access whatever of their personal information that you want to know about. That static HTML doesn't need to do that. Enigmatic didn't. That does.
On the static HTML app,
Yep.
is that held on a third party or do you hold it on your own server? Obviously the pictures.
Yeah, it's up to you. The actual HTML, I would guess, is held on their server, though I haven't checked the docs. In fact, I'm sure it must be held on their server. The images and so on, I think they talk about just hold it on a server somewhere. So if you've got an account on a server, you can just dump it somewhere. I picked that picture on Flickr because it's convenient to get images off Flickr. You know, the web is your CMS now. You can keep images over there, video over there, you can blog over there, and you can bring it all together in one property on Facebook as your website, whatever. That's got to be enough, surely.
You said forms, don't you? Why is it forms don't work?
Because static HTML has chosen not to allow them to. That's specific to that particular application. In wider Facebook world, forms are fine. It's probably in their description somewhere. Where is it? Yeah, there's a thing down here, if I remember rightly, which says don't use forms. And I guess that's because forms can be used for malware much more easily. £2. Form can be used to mess people up much more easily than some of the other standard HTML elements. Thank you very much.